Glenn, you fill us in on what you're seeing in the industry at the moment.
The first thing that we see dramatically is there is a shift from development to redevelopment. And I think this comes down to a little bit about demographics and a little bit about sustainability, in that people want to move back into the cities, we feel. They want a more sustainable world where you're just not building again from greenfield. And there is a desire to not have to complete another retail destination. Or the consumer doesn't want to learn a new retail destination. They just want their current destination to be better. So what they're saying is, don't teach me how to go into another parking lot. Don't teach me how to get on another public transportation. Just make the place that I go to better. Destination retailing is usually your very large shopping center. It's a reason to go there because it's the destination that you want to go to. The convenience retailing is your high street, grocery store. You have to get up in the morning and go to the pharmacy or to the grocery. And what we're seeing is we're seeing very little in between those two. You either have to be a destination that people are specifically going to, or you have to be convenience retailing. If you're in the middle, you got to think real hard about trying to get to one end or the other.
Okay, very good. Ben, NEINVER has a very specific, focused concept. It's greenfield in the main, as I understand it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a specific destination, which is one of the points that Glenn was talking about. Talk us through the concept.
What we do is a very, very specialized business, which is a factory outlet. When you walk into the outlet schemes, you create a very much an shopping experience. It's a long distance. People have to drive there, and you have to provide them with the facilities to stay there at least 2 or 3 hours. I think what differentiates the general shopping center from the outlet schemes is the active management you put behind. Because in our centers, we check every single thing in terms of pricing, in terms of a stock rollover, just to make sure that when people drive 1 hour, 1 hour and a half to go there, they really have what they are looking for. And that combines pricing, but also combines the environment and the design and some of the facilities links to families, etc., etc.
Chris, in regard to the UK, I mean, a layman question here. Are we not saturated with shopping malls in the UK? Will we be moving in the UK faster to one of Glenn's points of redevelopment and refurbishment than to new development, or am I completely wrong? What's the situation?
I think it's a very valid point, actually. One of the key issues about redevelopment, refurbishment is obviously the whole point of that is to try and create a step change in terms of rental growth. That's what's driving your ambitions. That's what's going to drive performance. I do think that, yes, small pocket development seems to be the way things are being considered at the moment. I think the large-scale developments bring with them so much risk, so much investment that just in terms of the horizon, they're not there for the future. It's not to say that they won't come back. One of the issues, however, is that if retailers who have got to grow, they're responsible to their shareholders, they've got to grow, and therefore they require additional space. And if they can't get space in town centres, then inevitably they will go to edge of centres and potentially to out of town. And the issue there is that if that happens, then a sequential erosion of the town centre, then that could have a hugely detrimental effect on town centres as a whole, and suddenly they become ghost towns. And once deterioration starts and that downward spiral actually commences, it's very difficult to actually stop that and actually bring it back up again. So I think we've really got to think very carefully about the sequential test and how much out-of-town development is relative to actually sustaining and supporting our town and city centres.
Green, is that really so important for the consumer, or is that important for the employees, or is that important for the store manager, for the mall manager?
The investors, the consumers, the shopkeepers, they all understand that green is part of what you have to be doing. So as it says up on the slide, it's no more hype, but you have to do it. Where the real next question is going to come is how you bring along the existing stock to be more green. Making new developments green, I remember now when we all used to run around and say it costs 10% more to build green. Then we said it was only 7% more. Well, the newest one I saw is it costs 3% less to build green now than it does not to build green. So it isn't a matter of money anymore. It's a matter of having the opportunity to do it when you're ground up or when you're doing a redevelopment. But remember, redevelopment and even ground up altogether don't count for more than 10% of the stock. So you got 90% of the stock out there that really is a management question more than it is a development question. And for the management people, they have the vigors of having to deal with operational budgets, making their yields for their investors, and every time you want to do something to make it green, it costs you money. So on the green front, I guess I would leave it to say that we have to provide some leadership, some education, and believe it or not, even as a developer or redeveloper, I'm going to say these words, appropriate legislation. We probably need to get appropriate legislation in order to push the system along. I'm not talking about one standard for all, because I don't think that works. But you need both the combination of leadership, education, and appropriate legislation to get us to where we need to get to during what I would consider phase 2 of the sustainability march.
Mayland, what is now your policy going forward? Because you're developing a lot of centers now in Poland in terms of building in sustainability, in terms of building in energy savings and the rest.
What I will say with any arrogance, but I will say that I'm doing what I have to do in terms of the law and the regulation, because I can do more. But first of all, I ask myself if the consumer have the green behavior and feel the green aspect, and if they are ready to pay a little bit more to have this green shopping mall. I don't say yes or I don't say no. It's a question. But the main question is when I have to sell the shopping mall to the final investor and the buyer, I say, okay, I have the certificate like this, like that. Okay, because I have I need to have this one. But nobody give me any premium because my shopping mall is more green than another one. They say, they look and they make the calculation and say the price of your project is like this, based on this by that, but there are no extra premium because it's really green, it's really like that. I agree that when the regulation will be the same for everybody and it will be a global guideline for everybody, for the consumer and also for the funds, it will be really easiest to develop the green shopping mall. But for today, what is the difference for the consumer or for the buyer between green and non-green? And what means really green? It's like a magic box today where they have everything inside. But I am not sure.
Okay.